animal and plant both. Suppose someone want to crack some competitive exam. It may be state level exam, it may be NET, it may be SET. Someone want to become, academician. They are very interested to teach the students as assistant professor, professor level. Someone is just saying, no, I will become environmentalist. I am a nature lover. I'll save the environment. So the moment we collect all this data from a student through professional counselor, we assign them a mentor, sorry. We assign them a mentor and you are mentee of that mentor. So this mentor is a personal coach. And this mentor is responsible to groom you the way you want to be groomed, the way you want to go ahead in your future. And this mentor will be in touch with you a kind of 24/7. It's not only classroom teaching. It's a non or problem solving attention by the mentor or by the so-called coach. So this coach will be in touch with you 24/7. Sometime you are saying, I am feeling very sick, feeling very low, I don't want to study today, ma'am, I am not interested. Then that ma'am will get in touch with you. Then this coach will talk to your parents. So ultimately, at Mass University Geography Department is putting everything to take the best out of it. Sometimes what happens, we do not know what is our passion. We just think, okay, we will get job after this course, after graduation and post-graduation. And that's why this discipline is fine. Normally, this is a way by which we select our course. Like we want to do BSc in geography because there is good job in geography. Someone say he want to do BBA because he want to become event manager. So our own goal and dreams are prepared by the circumstances. Most of the time, when we compare ourselves with relatives, with the friends, उसका बेटा क्या कर रहा है, उसका बेटी क्या कर रहा है. So in a way, somehow we are not able to groom what we really want. So first thing, to take out that particular part inside you, that is your passion. And simple definition of passion is when you feel joy, when you do not feel tired while working. Suppose someone like photography, someone like to explore the rocks, someone like to go with the geographer and he's very much interested in urban planning. Smart cities are coming up. So he want to become a urban planner because urban planner will have a very important role in 3-4 years. So, but because of the external pressure, he has started preparation for some competitive exam, bank PO, railway, or something. We want to have a government job. That's why I am preparing this. But inside somewhere, this guy wanted to become urban planner. So here in geography department, we try to find that particular thing and observe it, whether you are enjoying while doing that or not. And the moment you feel like this is a task, you need to finish it somehow. It's just 9 to 5 thing. That is not your passion. Anything that gives you joy, cheerfulness, even after working 10 hours, 20 hours, doesn't matter. You won't feel to sleep. You are enjoying so much that work. That is your passion. And until unless you are not in a profession that belongs to your passion, you cannot achieve the height in anything. Always see, normally what happens, people choose their career by force. Ultimately, they end up 20,000, 50,000, 40,000 job after graduation per month. And then there is a normal mediocre cycle. So it is up to you. You want to become a medium type of person in your whole life, or you really want to lead something. And that leading capacity, that leading quality, that everyone have that leading capacity, but only in the area that belongs to your passion, that belongs to your something where you do not get tired even while working 24/7. I know there are photographers. I know there are people uh, who are in, say, associated with the channels, who are shooting tiger or leopard or anything inside the forest. They are there for 8 days, 10 days, and they are very happy. They don't feel any tiredness even while working in the forest for 8, 10 days, because that belongs to their passion. And then only they are reaching to the height of their career. So if you want to live a medium life, that is also available on this planet. But if you really want to lead something, if you really want to become something that people know you, where you can help to the society, where you can directly help in nation building, then you need to choose something that belongs to your passion. And that is uniform for everyone. Undergraduate, graduate, and PhD. The best part would be to start your passion from the graduation. You might be seeing nowadays Olympics are going on. You might be seeing their preparation. That preparation cannot come without passion. If there is a weightlifter, 24/7, he is involved in weightlifting. What one should eat, what type of calorie one should take, how to build the muscle, how many times one need to go to gym and do the exercise, and they don't feel tired. They are just enjoying their very cheerful mood, because they are working through passion. And only those people are winning medal who have started chasing their dream since their childhood. Most of them are like this. You see the gold medalist, you see the biggest player, football player or any player, a cricket player of anything, you take all those people, they have started to chase their dream as per the passion, mostly from childhood. So this is the right time, very critical time for the graduate level. So whatever you are choosing, choose very carefully, because this is going to define your whole life. And it's not your life, the life of your family, the life of your society, the life of your friends, your relatives, the way, the quality of life you want to live. So today, when I say that choose your career with passion, just be very careful. Try to find out what you want. So graduate level students are at a very critical stage. Do not go by name, do not go by brand. Sometimes what happens, we think one institute is a 60-year-old, 70-year-old, so automatically that institute is good. It's not always true. There is no comparison. Education or quality of education, you cannot compare with the age of institution. It just depends what is going on currently, what kind of efforts, what kind of energy that institute is putting for the student. So graduation level is very critical. Post graduation level is somewhat critical, because you have completed nearly 40%, 30-40% of a journey. Now the people who are in PhD program, I want to tell them one thing, especially for the candidates who are appearing for the PhD, that normally you do research or do PhD by two forces. First is you want to get a degree so that either you will get the promotion in your job or you will get a good job. So the objective and motive of research is to become something. Once you have doctor before your name, that will help you in your career. So career-oriented PhD. Second PhD is you really want to do something. Something where people will look at you with respect. If your area is, say, water management, or you want to do some pollution analysis of a city, or you want to understand what kind of medical tourism is going on in that particular area. So your movement, your motive and movement both should be to give something to society. That's why you want to do research. You want to prove something. Then only you will get respect out of PhD. And quality can never come if your motive of research is only for job. You will not get the quality. You will always feel tired while literature search, while working for PhD. You will always feel, okay, somehow I need to just publish some paper so that I can submit my thesis and I'll get my PhD from Admas University. If any of you want to do PhD like this, believe me, you may complete your PhD. You will never be happy and never be satisfied with your PhD. So please decide here if you are entering into the research program. So think critically and think in a way where outer world, whoever will read your research paper, they will have a respect for you. Automatically, this respect will propagate. So if you are publishing a quality paper, just say 1 or 2 papers, and they have good quality, then automatically you will get connected with many other people who are working in this area. And that will keep growing. It is just one-time publication. That publication is always there forever. Till this earth is existing, your publication will be there. And if work is good, so till your last breath, you will keep earning the respect out of your research. For researchers, we have a special course where we teach them research methodology, how to do research. We have international and national collaboration for them. In case if some facilities are not available in the Department of Geography, you will try to take help from our collaborator, and we will train you how to develop the international collaboration so that you can have some of your research paper with the internationally known people. And you might have seen the flyer of geography. We are calling very eminent national and international people. We are organizing regular workshop and conferences with good participation. So the whole window, doors, everything is open for you to develop the collaboration. And the moment you have a good collaborator, the quality of research will automatically increase. Now, closing everything, I'm sure Kasturi ma'am will tell you through a presentation what kind of facilities and other things future you can have, you can shape while working in Admas University. But in a concluding remark, I'll just say for undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD students, it's not late. It's a critical time, especially for undergraduate students. So choose your school, university very carefully. Try to understand through the interaction of the faculty member. Try to understand by the interaction of existing students who are studying in the Department of Geography. And do not fall in any kind of pre-perception marketing or branding of various institutes. Sometimes you see advertisement in newspaper, every university is claiming 94% placement. You see in TV, 1,000 patents, and many, local channels and all. So these all are branding, marketing. So do not decide anything through these ads. You have to decide by interacting with the faculty members. You have to decide by meeting or by calling with the existing students. And my special, Kasturi ma'am, if I take 20 more seconds. Admas University, it belongs to the RISE group. RISE, R-I-S-E, is a well-known setup for the coaching of competitive exams. People who belongs to this region, they all know RISE coaching. So this is the additional advantage for our students that they can prepare for competitive exams, state level competitive exams, and other coaching things. So many of our graduate and postgraduate students are enrolled with them with the RISE group to get this coaching. So you can continue your graduation, post graduation. At the same time, you can continue in the coaching for the competitive exam. So this is the additional advantage. And all our faculty members have been, all the departments and HOD, they all have given a unwritten mandate that every single line of syllabus, whatever you are teaching in the classroom, should be related or should be oriented as per the syllabus of competitive exam. So our syllabus is designed, automatically designed in a way. We have a structure called Board of Studies. So whenever we decide our syllabus, whenever we decide what we are going to teach into the classroom, we need to go through this Board of Studies. And Board of Studies have eminent external members, senior people of their areas. So they will come, they will evaluate whether all the topics, all the materials are as per the requirement of current requirement and after 4 year, 5 year, 10 years requirement, plus whether this teaching and these subjects can help a student to crack or to clear some competitive exams. So all is good. I'm sure you will keep meeting with your faculty members, and they all are here. You have their details. So whenever, whatever you want to know, you are most welcome. And there is no timing. When we talk to our students, we have clearly mentioned that there is no time for you. And some of your faculty member will agree. Sometime, a student call them at 12:30 or even 1 a.m. Ma'am, I was going through this question. I didn't understand. I found another answer somewhere else and you were talking this thing. Then this teacher will get up and say, okay, wait. You will not find a single student who will complain that their queries were never replied, were never answered. I personally see these things. I personally meet students. There is a special window for all students of geography in the school that is called SOBAS, Sobhas Care Program, School of Basic and Applied Science Care. So any student can write anything by mail to the Sobhas Care, and we have maintained this that within 4 working days, this problem will be solved. Now this problem is, if there is any problem related to teaching material, any problem like you are not able to come because there is too much rain, so kindly provide me some attendance. I am not getting study material, and may hopefully when this pandemic get over, we will have you all physically in the campus. So sometimes students are even saying hostel ka khana acha nahi hai. So I personally call these people and then talk to them to make it sure. Uh, for the online learning, this is very important. It's not normal Google Meet or MS Teams. We have tie-up with an American setup that is Canvas. And through the Canvas, you will get almost classroom experience. It has been a good investment from the side of Admas University. and I do not know that if there is any university in Northeast region is using Canvas learning platform for the online teaching of students. Normally, people are using MS Team or Google Meet. So there may be some universities, I am not aware, but we are going to launch, already launched this Canvas, and you will feel a different experience of online learning through this Canvas. So thank you very much. I know I have taken almost 30 minutes today. Uh, I hope you will enjoy this session, and I am here. And whatever, whenever you want to ask anything to anyone, including me, you are most welcome to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Pandey, for sharing your thoughts. And I think our aspirants would is very much benefited with your kind words. Right now, I before starting our theme program by Dr. Kosturi Mukherjee, head of the Department of Geography, I would like to introduce her to all the participants. Dr. Kosturi Mukherjee, right now, she is an associate professor in Adamas University, Department of Geography. She is the head of the department as well. She is a visiting researcher at Stockholm Resilience Center, Stockholm University. She is the gold medalist in environmental geography in masters, and she completed her doctoral research from Department of Geography, University of Calcutta. She also bagged a diploma in software engineering and postgraduate diploma in applied remote sensing and GIS from NIIT and Jadavpur University, respectively. And she has also completed a refresher course in social development and social policy from IIM Kolkata. And she has published and presented several papers based on environmental issues in reputed journals. And before joining Adamas University, she was visiting faculty in Ranimila College and Mulli Girls College, as well as she was acted as an external examiner for University of Calcutta. And in 2010, uh, her paper was being presented as the best paper on a national seminar on sustainable development and disaster management. Now, I would like to request Dr. Mukherjee to share her views and start her presentation. Over to you, Dr. Mukherjee.
Thank you, Dr. Karmakar. And yes, I would like to share my screen and give you a brief presentation about the changing nature of geography and how we are trying to inculcate these modern techniques that are required very much for the students to get placed in various industries or to have good research experience in India and abroad. So if my screen is visible, I would like to start my presentation.
Yes, it is visible.
Dr. Mukherjee, I would just request you to kindly raise your volume because it's like very.
Okay, I am trying to speak louder. Is it fine now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yes, it's
Okay.
better.
Geography was initially, when geography as a subject came into existence, as we all know, geography initially was an art subject. And many of you still have the idea that geography comes under social science. And yes, it is true that geography was in the School of Arts in various universities, and still it is. The scenario has not completely changed, but it is changing, and it is changing very rapidly. So geography started to get a new approach, and the nature of geography started to change with this quantitative revolution that happened in 1950s and 1960s. So what happened is that various statistical techniques, quantitative techniques, mathematics started to get incorporated within geography, that started to change the nature of this discipline. And it is still changing, and we are seeing a massive paradigm shift in this subject nature. So as you know that heart of geography, the subject of geography relies on cartography, which is called the art of map making. So the journey of geography is dependent on the journey of map making. So the first map that was discovered on the earth's surface, that was made in the Babylonian era, and that was on a stone. So it doesn't have much significance in terms of placing the in terms of identifying various places, but it was the first map. It's a kind of first thing that has been yet discovered. Then and it was in 600 BC. So then, after that, Ptolemy prepared one world map in 150 AD, and which has been used for various type of exploration at that time. Then, much later time, Mercator's projection came, and the 3D Earth surface started to be projected on the 2D Earth surface with proper latitude and longitude, where we can determine the location very properly. And now in this era, what we used to understand by map is the desktop map or web map. Like there is the concept of making the map with hand and with manual survey is getting replaced by the incorporation of a technique called geoinformatics, and all the maps that we can see today are in the digital format. They are either desktop maps or either web maps. Now, what is the difference between desktop and web map? Desktop map is something that I am preparing in my desktop or you are preparing in your desktop, and web map are those which are interactive maps, like the Google map. You are kind of web map. So the journey of desktop and web map started in 1990s, and it is still evolving. So desktop map also had a journey. Like desktop map is now polishing, as I am saying, that it is becoming more refined, and the journey has started when massive cholera outbreak happened in London, and they tried to find out the clusters of cholera, like where it is happening, why it is happening. So from that point of time, the very basic desktop map making process has started, and it is now so refined and complicated and so accurate that if you want to see that the clusters of suppose in India, in a state, how many corona patients are there, you can really identify this thing by using a web map. Like you go to the web map, it's an interactive map, so you click on this. Like in Kolkata, you want to see that how many corona patient is getting, how many people are getting affected by corona. You can see this thing very easily. So it's a web map, and these maps have been made by the help of geographers. So geographers have a very wide role in playing all this desktop and web map, and there lies the job opportunities of geographers nowadays. So as I was saying, this evolution of desktop and web map is possible because of the incorporation of one subject that is called geoinformatics. Now, geoinformatics, what is geoinformatics? Geoinformatics has four basic pillars. One is the global positioning system, the GPS system. As you understand that if we want to navigate anywhere, if we want to call Uber, we want to order pizza, we want to track the forest fire or the disaster where human cannot reach, we can use GPS. So this global positioning system is one of the pillars of geoinformatics system. And then comes the geographical information system. The data we are gathering through this navigation system, we are storing in a system that we call geographical information system. It's a computer system, and it has no limit basically to storing the capturing and storing the data. Massive volume of data can be stored in this system. This data can be of any type, like it can be of like on the earth surface we can have the data of the average of the height of mountains, the length of rivers, about the human being, what kind of food habits the human beings are having, the road network. All kind of data can be stored in a system, the comprehensive system that we call geographical information system. The third pillar that we have in geoinformatics, that is called remote sensing, and it is it has enormously impacting the nature of geography, because through remote sensing, what is happening, we are constantly receiving signals from the satellites that are orbiting our Earth surface, orbiting our Earth. So we are getting the signals from the satellites, and by interpreting those signals, we can get the information about any place of the Earth surface, which is otherwise inaccessible. Sorry. Which is inaccessible, and sometimes it is not possible to go there or to get the data repeatedly. So suppose I want a data on regular basis. I want data about the earth surface, about the forest fire for continuous 1 month. So I really cannot go every day and map the forest fire, but instead of that, I can rely on remote sensing data and get the precise, accurate data of any places. So remote sensing has various applications, starting from for weather forecasting, cyclone tracking, deforestation, understanding the rate of deforestation that are happening because of this urbanization, then understanding the sea surface temperature, the land surface temperature, the monsoon prediction, the phytoplankton concentration in the within the ocean, the understanding the like temperature change, the aerosol concentration, the pollution level, the land use change. Like human beings are like population is increasing, they need more houses to stay, need more shopping malls, need more construction. So how this change is happening, and any kind of like in disaster management, disaster prediction, remote sensing is playing a crucial role. And the fourth pillar of this geoinformatics is photogrammetry, and it is a kind of replacement of like survey, and it is a very low angle photography, and photos can be captured from different angle, videos can be made to those terrains which are not even possible to get captured by the satellites. So with these four different segments of geoinformatics, with the incorporation of these segments into the subject of geography, the nature of geography has been changing. Now, there lies our role, like what we are doing to imparting this knowledge and skill, and how we are blending this modern technique with the traditional subjects of geography. Like, can we really compromise the traditional knowledge of geography, like geomorphology, climatology, regional geography? These are very basis of the geography. These are making the foundation of geography. But we cannot really compromise this knowledge. This is our domain. What we can do, we can blend this modern technique with this classical technique. Now, in the next half of the presentation, I would like to show you some of the initiatives or some of the ways how we are trying to incorporating these techniques and making our students really ready for getting placements, going for research in abroad or in other institutes, in other famous institutes in India. So presently, this is the composition of our department, and as I have said, that as I have introduced them, all of them are presently here in this panel discussion, and they are having different type of specializations. Like Dr. Anurai works on medical tourism, health tourism. Dr. Tuhin Bhadra works on fluvial geomorphology, oceanography. Dr. Rajiv Sharkar works on urban planning. Dr. Supratim Karmakar is an expert in crime geography. And Dr. Manashi Devnath is working on geomorphology, paleo-environmental reconstruction, glacier morphology, and also working on the natural hazards. Dr. Shuman Chatterjee is an expert in environment and public health, whereas Monisha Baral takes care of all kind of students get proper training of the cartography. And these are the 5 courses that are presently offered by the department: BSc Geography, MSc Geography, MSc Geoinformatics, PG Diploma in Geoinformatics and Geostatistics. This is a 1-year course, and BSc is 3 years course, MSc Geography, Geoinformatics are 2 years courses, and of course PhD program. And what extra thing we are offering to the students, if we want to say in a nutshell, because each of this program I can say has separate objectives. Like basic geography course structure has been designed in keeping in mind that students may want to go for higher studies or want to go for job. MSc geography course structure is much more advanced level of course structure. MSc geoinformatics is a separate subject, so each program that we offer has separate salient features and separate objectives and skills included. But if I want to say in a nutshell that what are the highlights of the curriculum, we can say that being a student of geography, being a student of social science who has studied social science in their class 2 level has find sometimes difficulty in understanding a few statistical mathematical concepts of geography. So what we do is that we have incorporated a basic mathematics course within the course curriculum of BSc Geography, and this course has been for only the geography students, and only those concepts have been incorporated which are required to understand geographical perspective, like a few practicals of geography. For those, some mathematical concepts are important, and those concepts have been included in the syllabus. And this course has been taken by Department of Mathematics for only the students of geography. Statistics has been massively incorporated because data science is the new field that is emerging and requires lots of manpower. Specialization like environmental geography, geomorphology and hazard, urban and regional planning, hydrometeorology, or remote sensing GIS, these all are specialization that is offered in the MSc courses, MSc Geography and MSc Geoinformatics courses. Now we have a project, like students in their last semester will do a live grant project, and that will be the project. We push the student, we give every support to the student that the project should get published. We are doing a good project, and keeping with us is not only it's not going to help us uh, in future for getting better career options. So we push the student to get their dissertation published. Then we focus, as I was saying, we focus, lot of focus has been given on geoinformatics, statistics, survey techniques, cartographic techniques, modern cartography, that is digital cartography. Then you may have, some of you have heard the term called artificial intelligence and machine learning. You understand that these are computer science courses. Why I am taking the names here, but no, artificial intelligence, machine learnings are required everywhere. Suppose I'm sure that in the latter half of this panel discussion, we are going to discuss about crime detection and all. Some we are going to hear this from Dr. Shupati Karmakar. But I just want to say that if we want to detect some crime-prone spots in various cities, we can use artificial intelligence and machine learning by understanding the structure, their structure, the urban structure, like where the snatchers are actually being clustered. So how this can be understood through artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is not possible always for human being to understand the clusters, but through computerized knowledge, we can understand this thing. Then computer programming. So knowing only the softwares, knowing only the applications are always not beneficial. So the modern demand is that geography students even need to know basic programming so that they can give their best to the subject of, they can do the best with the geoinformatics skills. So some programming language like Python R, that is already there in the MSc Geography courses, and C, C++, JavaScript, Python R are incorporated in the MSc Geoinformatics courses, because computer programming are in demand for the students who are obtaining their career in geoinformatics. Now, big data and cloud computation. Now we are on the verge of removing the barrier of hardware and software. Like I have a computer, whatever is the storage capacity, there is a limitation of storing the data. Now, if I remove this limitation, and if I try to store my data on cloud, then massive amount of data can be stored and processing can be done in one go. That is called cloud computation. And yes, being a computer science subject, cloud computation, yes, it is incorporated in geography, and Google Earth Engine is the best cloud platform that actually being offered to the students of geography. Now, beyond these are all about curriculum, and beyond academics also there are various programs that I believe helps the students to grow. And we have 24 into 7 mentorship. We have as sir was saying that ask your teacher, like we can beyond the class hours also, all the teachers students can meet and They can have various kinds of queries related to exam, related to the pandemic, online classes, offline classes, projects. So we discuss this thing on weekly basis, maybe on Saturdays, beyond the class hours that we call Ask Your Teacher. We have regular, we used to organize regularly national, international conferences, workshops, and also we encourage the students to participate in those in-house conferences, workshops, and also to participate in the outside programs that has been organized by other universities. Then we have regular program called Meet the Leaders, like who are doing pioneering work in geography. They used to come and they used to give some classes or they used to give some lectures. Now, if many of you, I'm sure that have attended the series Future Geographer, like it's a kind of Future Geographer comes under this Meet the Leader program as well. Then we have HR meets, like we used to call the HRs from the various companies and we ask that what are the skills that you require if you want to hire a student of geography, then what are the skills, so that we can incorporate those skills into the subject and we can impart those training to the students. There are dissertation to publication, I have already said, and various skill enhancement courses like how to speak English, how to write email. These are always required. Whatever subject, whatever career path you choose, these basic skills always required, and we have a program for that, and we used to have regular classes for this. Professional courses. Suppose some students want to go for job, they will not he or she will not go for higher studies, so some kind of skill develop professional extra additional courses are required, so that training also has been given. And professional courses means those competitive exams trainings, we have a program for that, students can opt for competitive exam trainings as well. And definitely alumni need soft skill development, how to sit, how to dress, these things also important, how to speak in interviews. So these things are there to groom the students and to develop the personality of the students along with the development of their knowledge of geography. So this is how we used to impart the knowledge of geoinformatics to the students of geography, because as I was saying that geoinformatics opened up a massive career opportunities for the students of geography. Initially, after geography, we used to see that only teaching or research are the only options after masters or after BSc. But no, there are various other options as well, and that option has been given by this incorporation of geoinformatics. So, what geoinformatics knowledge we used to impart the students in graduate level, then in postgraduate level, then when they are going for the dissertation or the research, like they are becoming more proficient about various type of software packages and programming languages, and when they are you know uh, completing their masters, their projects in Adamas University, they really become an expert in this subject. Of course, with time, they will gain more expertise, more knowledge, and become more updated. But I can say substantial amount of training we provide when the students complete their degree from Adamas University Department of Geography. We are trying to incorporate the big data concept in geography, computer programming language, machine learning. These things all are trying to be incorporated within the subject within the syllabus. So as I was saying that we used to regularly organize conferences, workshops, and we encourage the students to participate in that. So you can see a few pictures, and you can see searching in your participants list that some of them are already present in this panel discussion. So these are few images that students really have been there in various other universities. Like this image, I can remember this. It was in Jadavpur University. So they have really went and well done with their presentation. Frequent interaction is possible because of invite. We used to invite the leaders like we have invite like we had this opportunity to interact with Professor Gerald Mill from Dublin. He came for a talk in international conference. Then we had a talk with Padma Shri V.C. Thakur. We had a talk of Kollan Rudru, who is the chairman of Pollution Control Board, Dr. Devendra Pradhan, who was the director of Indian Meteorological Department, Professor Shubato Hajra, the director of Oceanography Department, Dr. Tapati Banerjee, who is the director of NATMO, Dr. S.P. Agarwal from Indian Institute of Remote Sensing. So various from various organizations with various expertise, when people are coming interacting with the system, I believe that an ecosystem has been created which inspires the students to never settle for the mediocrity, to opt for the best. And these are some glimpses of those offline workshops and conferences that we used to organize. Uh, this was a program that we organized of on drone imaging, like how satellite remote sensing is one thing, and drone imaging for a specific area. If we want to take a image of that area for a specific purpose, we use now drone imaging. So how we can, how a drone flies, how to take the picture, how to interpret those images. So a workshop was conducted in 2019 on this. This is we used to celebrate various uh, days. Like one of these are we have observed the World GIS Day twice, and this was the last offline program that we had in 2020. After that, we moved completely online, and but we have not stopped. We kept this dynamicity on, and we started to invite more people from various other institutes, not only from India but also from abroad, so that they can share their knowledge, they can guide the students, and they can share their experience, how they have obtained that path. So as I was saying about the HR meet, that we only had one HR meet, that from three different industries we have called the director, the managing director, so that they talked about the basic skills that are required to get a job in their companies. Field visit, whatever amount of remote sensing, the knowledge of remote sensing we have, field visit for a geographers can never be replaced, because we need validation. We still are relying on field for various aspects more than remote sensing, so field can never be obsolete. So we used to very enthusiastically we used to conduct the field visits, but of course before pandemic, and there is field visit is mandatory within the course curriculum of BSc, MSc, Geography, Geoinformatics, but which is not mandatory is the local field trips. But we used to conduct all through the years. We used to go to the for various times to the local field areas and take various data from the areas surrounding the universities. Now taking the data from there, interpreting the data by coming to the lab, it gives a real life experience, like you are measuring the precipitation, temperature, the soil structure, and that you are interpreting those things in computer lab with the help of GIS. So gives you a comprehensive understanding of the uh, various aspects of geography, various aspects of environment. And not only that, we had a program called institute visits, like various institutes which are heavily working on geography, geoinformatics, how they are working, how good their labs are, what are the instruments they are using. So to see this thing, the faculties and students used to visit the prime institutes which are working on the subject art, science, and geography. So they like River Research Institute. They work on various kind of soil dynamics, river hydraulics, flood management. So they used to have some models, large models, like how flood is happening. The real demonstration could have been given there. So students have visited this River Research Institute one. Then students have visited ISAT once in 2020 on the occasion of Science Day. So this kind of programs are always on, and I can say that this reduces the monotony of the classes, and this gives the exposure. These are good for the overall growth of the students. And and you will never bored. Like we will send you some outreach program, we will send you for some community services. So these all things are there, and of course 24/7 mentorship. Like this Build Your Career program has been launched very recently, and sir has already said about this, that we identify the clusters. Like students who want to go for research needs different kind of training. Students who want to go for higher studies need different type of training, and students who want to go for job, they need different type of training. So what that we have understood now, and what we are doing, we are identifying the clusters, and we are assigning some mentors. Like those students want to go for research can assign to a mentor who will guide them about the fellowships and scholarships available in India and abroad for obtaining their research. Those who want to go for industries, they will be assigned for different kind of software trainings apart from the trainings that we give within the syllabus. Software trainings, soft skills trainings, English communication training. So this kind of trainings are required for them who wants to go for job. So this program is called Build Your Career, and we have already started this. So what are the scopes? Like where the geographers can go with this knowledge of geoinformatics, cartography, survey, photogrammetry. So they can become GIS analysts, disaster manager, environmentalist, remote sensing analyst, hydrologist, urban planner, transport planner, public health analyst, demographers. They can become surveyor, cartographer, urban planners, and of course scopes for higher studies are always there, and as a faculty we always encourage the students for go for higher studies. So these are few areas where students from Department of Geography have completed their mandatory internship, and some of them have got placed as well, and we will see some of them here in this panel. We are going to listen from them how their experiences are. Like they have taken admission in MSc Geography or BSc Geography, and then they have got placements after Geography, which is not a very common concept. Like after Geography, after studying a subject, traditional subject like Geography, you are getting placements. Placements are always for engineering students, for management students, but in Adamas University, yes, we do give the student placement. So we give them the opportunity to get placed. But of course, it is on the students, their skill development, their confidence, their desire to obtain those opportunities. It depends on them. But definitely we give the opportunities for the student to get placed. So suppose if you want to, like from various the Google form that we have circulated, from that we understand that you may want to become GIS analyst. So what path you need to obtain for become a GIS analyst? So suppose you have studied BSc honors in geography, you can go for MSc geography, you can go for PG diploma in geoinformatics, and or you can directly after BSc you can become a GIS technician. If you have completed MSc Geography or Geoinformatics, you can be directly absorbed as GIS analyst or GIS developers. Later on, you can be promoted to GIS manager. If you have completed after BSc your PG diploma, you don't wanted to go for MSc, you wanted to go for obtain the degree of PG diploma of 1 year, you can become GIS analyst, GIS associate, and you can eventually go for get the job of GIS officer. Suppose you want to become urban planner, because smart city projects is something that we all know. That is very important, and geographers have very good scopes for that. So suppose you want to become an urban planner. So after BSc Geography, you have to go for MSc Geography. Then you have to get a degree in implant. So after implant, you can directly being absorbed in various government and non-government sector as urban planner. So if you see just in Google that how many GIS analyst openings are there and what are the average packages, you can be assured that yes, GIS has a scope and geography students has a scope for other than becoming teachers, other than becoming faculty members, other than becoming researchers. So these are some average salary we were searching that in various countries or in India also that a urban planner can get or a GIS analyst can get. With various research collaborations, those students who are not going for job, we encourage them for going to the research areas. And yes, we do have some research collaboration within India and outside India as well. And with little bit of enthusiasm with the students, we can push the students to go to abroad to pursue their higher studies, to pursue their research careers. These are the 4 laboratories that we have, and various instruments, computers, softwares that we have in the department. That's it. Thank you. Here I stop my presentation, and thank you for your patience listening. So now I would like to take some questions. If you have some questions, please raise your hand or put that question in the chat box. We would like to answer those questions.
Yes, Koina Rush.
Yeah, I am asking you to unmute. Just unmute yourself and just click on yes. Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Hello.
Ma'am, can I ask student who does not have mathematics or economics um, in her subject combination can take BSc geography, or she has to take BA geography?
Can you repeat your question once again?
A art student
Yeah.
who does not have economics or mathematics in her subject combination in her class 12, can she take BSc geography, or she has to take BA geography?
Yes. No, BSc geography. Because I always will suggest to go for BSc geography, because a science degree opens many opportunities. Like some fellowships are there, some government exams are there, which can only the students only with a science degree can get selected for this. So always go for BSc degree, and if she or he doesn't have economics or mathematics, still she can get a BSc degree, because geography, the entire subject has become science. It's not only the additional subjects, the past subjects that are the supporting subjects that we have. Geography itself has become science. Geography, the subject matter, has become science. So it is BSc geography, and absolutely he or she is eligible for obtaining BSc geography.
Thank
Yes,
you, ma'am.
Koina, thank you. Koina, I'm asking you to unmute if you are. Achha, okay, you have posted your question. Ma'am, what are the criteria for pursuing MSc in geoinformatics? No, you don't need to have mathematics in class 2 level. If you are BSc Geography, you can get admission in MSc Geoinformatics. In Adamas University, for all the courses, you have to give one examination, which is called Adamas University's entrance test. That examination you have to pass, and then you can take admission in Adamas University for any of the courses, and you are absolutely eligible for MSc Geoinformatics. Ma'am, is it important to have economics as a subject? No, it is not important to have economics as a subject for BSc Geography. Only having geography in your class 2, or if you have science subjects like combination of science like mathematics, physics, chemistry, you can come for BSc geography. Or if you have geography in class 2 level. So economics, mathematics, these are not mandatory courses for obtaining any course in geography in Adamas University.
Dr. Mukherjee, I think please mention the specialties here. Like in Adamas University, we are offering a special bridge course on basic mathematics. So that's why they are open to choose any subjects. Please elaborate that.
Yes. So as I was saying in the price, I have mentioned this in presentation that basic mathematics is a course not to cover the difficult, complicated concepts of geography. It's a very simple, basic mathematical concepts that we feel that students should know if they want to pursue geography. and that will be beneficial for them. So we have kept a very small paper called Basic Mathematics. It's a kind of, yes, bridge courses. Like some people do not have mathematics, or maybe you have mathematics but you have forgotten some formulas and some concepts. That happens. So it's a kind of revision kind of courses that you will have in BSc syllabus. BSc geography. So nothing like that. Ma'am, which is the best future opportunities for MSc Geoinformatics or MTech in Geoinformatics? Okay. MTech, definitely you can opt for MTech, but MTech, for MTech you also have to give an entrance exam in IIRS, which is pretty difficult, I believe. But MTech, definitely you go if you can qualify that MTech entrance exam. Definitely you go for MTech, because we also say to our students that MSc Geography, then MTech in Geoinformatics, this combination of MSc and MTech will open huge opportunities in front of you. Science degree, a tech degree, the combination of this, a very deadly combination to get good job and good research opportunities. So go for MTech. If you are MTech, then definitely go for MTech. Ma'am, it is mandatory to do GIS for analyst job, or we can do the MSc Geography also. I really could not get the question. Is it mandatory to do GIS for analyst job? GIS analyst, the job title is called GIS analyst. So you have to learn little bit of GIS, definitely. And after BSc also you can go for GIS analyst job. But MSc Geography, if you pursue MSc Geography after your BSc Geography, definitely higher degrees, higher qualification opens up more avenues. So it gives a good opportunity for promotion within the job you have got. If you are only BSc, you have less opportunities for promotion. If you are MSc, then you will have good opportunities for promotion. You can compete with the people, your colleagues. I have completed MA Geography with specialization in cartography from University of Calcutta. Very good. I have an interest in geoinformatics. Which courses can I go for? Please guide. If you have completed already MA Geography, then I will suggest you can go for a PG diploma of which is of 1 year, or you can go for MSc Geoinformatics as well, another MSc degree. Ma'am, if one who have BA degree in geography, yes, in Adama's University, whatever BA, BSc degree you have, you will directly admitted to MSc Geography. Because like BSc, MSc subject matter is very much oriented to science, so it's a science subject. So whatever is your previous degree, that will not impact the degree that you will obtain from Adama's University.
And he or she is eligible for this MSc Geoinformatics course also.
Yes, definitely. From Geography, you will directly go for MSc Geoinformatics as well. And do we need to prepare separately? No, it's not even basic geography. It's a basic social science, we can say. If you are from social science background, so in entrance exam, you will be asked from basic English, basic mathematics, basic environment. This kind of basic questions you will be asked. And if you are from science background, then basic physics, basic chemistry, basic mathematics will be there in the AVT exam. So it doesn't require any kind of special preparation. So it's a class 2 level of knowledge. If you have, that is enough. For MSc entrance exam, yes, basics of BSc Geography is essential. Ma'am, what according to your opinion is the better career option, an environmentalist or a professor? I am going to pursue one of these careers and confused. It depends on your aspiration, because having a career as a faculty, you have to deal with students, you have to go for research, you have to go for consultancy. So these things are there. And when you are you are going for being an environmentalist, that is a that's a separate genre. Basically, it's not, you are not a teacher, you are a employee in an organization, where you will work for environment. So if you're really passionate to save our environment, if you're really passionate to work for the environment, I would prefer that, I would suggest that you go for environmentalist job. But if you have really, you're passionate for teaching, then you become a teacher. Ma'am, which specialization will be helpful for MSc? See, there is no such concrete answer I can give. Remote sensing GIS definitely will give you a better scope for understanding the geoinformatics concept, but specialization should always be chosen depending on the, depending on your interest. So when you will study the basic concepts of geography for 1 year, for 2 semesters, you will develop your interest. Like you want to go for geomorphology or environment or urban planner or hydrometeorology, whatever uh, interest you will develop, I will suggest, we all suggest that you go to the specialization accordingly. Ma'am, can I see slide A58? Okay, I will try. Shamprit, Shamprit, already you are a student of Ramas University, so you can ask
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
any time.
Yes.
Ma'am, what are the scopes are there for geomorphology, applied geomorphology, anthropology? Okay, this question we have thought of discussing, and Dr. Mansi Devnath, who is working on geomorphology. So I would like to ask Mansi if you can answer this question. Like, what are the scopes for geomorphology? Geomorphology is a traditional subject. Now, what are the scopes now for the students of geography with modern techniques of geoinformatics? Mansi,
Thank you, Dr. Yeah, I'm very glad to answer these questions. Yes, so geomorphology, it's a branch of geography subject when you are focusing on the surface of the earth. So how did it evolve? So in geomorphology, you can study on geology, you can study on some kind of particles, sediments, and also this again you can formulate some kind of future program, like a future kind of hazards or something. So in this way, whenever you got your if you got your training in geomorphology, so in future you can join in some kind of laboratory or as a scientist positions. In India also there are many institutions like BSIP, then IUSA at Delhi, even in outside India. So as a geomorphology, you are also going to study as a surface processes, earth surface processes. So earth surface processes means you can study in fluvial geomorphology or glacier geomorphology. And these processes, we all know, these are totally interact with the climate. So climate change and geomorphological, these processes are all interrelated. So you can also see your future prospects to engage yourself in such kinds of organizations who are dealing with climate related studies, like NIDM in our country, and in outside abroad, like NOAA or NASA, even NASA also. Because for example, one of the topic related to geomorphology is um, how fluvial landscapes can be evolved. So now what NASA are trying to do, they are interrelate the fluvial geomorphological features in our earth to the some kind of features they have found, erosional features in Mars. So now using these geomorphological features of our earth systems, they are also trying to incorporate to get the idea of the Mars. So there are vast scope to study using the geomorphological knowledge, as well as obviously ma'am has said about the geoinformatics tools. So for further inquiry, we can also if you have any other questions, so you can ask.
thank you, Mansi. So, next question, I think Dr. Rajiv Sarkar already replied in the chat box that yes, after BTech degree also you can opt for MSc Geoinformatics, because MSc Geoinformatics is an interdisciplinary subject. So you can come from environmental science if you have completed your degree in geology or engineering, uh, or definitely in geography. You can come for MSc Geoinformatics. Yes, there is AUAT exam, entrance exam for MSc Geoinformatics as well. But as I have said, that it's a very basic type of questions you will be asked, so you need not to have any kind of special preparation. For PG diploma, there is no entrance exam. You can directly get admission into the PG program, PG diploma program. Yes, thank you, Dr. Anurai, for posting this. She has posted. You can see all the courses that has been also enlisted in our website, and we have one WhatsApp group. Join us in the WhatsApp group and spread the information. More queries. We would like to get more queries related to this career of geography, because as young geographers, what we are trying to make, what the point we are trying to convey is that geography is no more a subject, descriptive art subject. It has become a professional subject, and students can have sufficient amount of scopes after geography. Meteorology, yes, scopes of studying meteorology, yeah, you have to get some specialization. Climatology, if you want to go for climatology or geomorphology or environment or urban planet, you have to opt your specialization carefully. Then you can go for that particular field. Like if you are aiming for meteorology, hydrometeorology is the specialization for you in MSc course, and then accordingly you can. There are various options, like we know that Indian Meteorological Department is there, government organization is there. You can give their exam and you can become a meteorologist. Yes, if you study geography with physics, mathematics, science subjects, you can definitely surely have a good career in meteorology. Now, I would like to ask a few questions to the faculty members with various type of backgrounds. You will be amazed to see that how various scopes are there, and how many scopes are there for the students of geography. So I would like to ask a few questions to our faculty members, own faculty members, and before that, I will also like to introduce them properly to the audience. So, as we have already discussed with the scopes of geomorphology, we would like to I would like to ask that uh, what are the career prospects of a geographer for studying health geography? Because as we know that health geography is an emerging subject. Now we can see one paper within the BSc course curriculum, health geography. It was initially not there. So what we do study in health geography? We know geomorphology, meteorology, regional geography, demography, this thing we know. But what is health geography? What health geography concerns with which topics, and what are the career prospects of health geography? To get this question, to get the answer of this question, I would like to come to Dr. Anu Rai, who is an assistant professor in the Department of Geography and has joined the department in 2015. And she is a passionate human geographer with an interest in urban planning, medical geography, tourism, and infrastructural planning and monitoring. So over to you, Dr. Rai, if you can answer this question of mine.
Uh, First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Kasturi Mukherjee, for the wonderful introduction. Yes, there are lots of opportunities are rising in terms of health geography, because we know within human geography we have major arena in terms of urban planning and another in terms of medical geography or the health geography. And specifically in last 2 years, we can see like how the pandemic is playing its very worst role. So here also we have seen that the role of geography is actually rising. And in a very first introduction, you have mentioned that the geography has started with the map making. It is the art and science of the subject. It is a cartography based subject. The first map, which is produced by the Mr. John Snow, he was also trying to identify the relationship of the cholera with the geography. So I think we can say that from there only the geography has got its proper application field. Now the geographers has understand that it is not the subject which is for the navigation purpose only, but it can solve the various social and critical urban issues as well. Even the all kind of industrial issues, the establishments, infrastructure development, planning, this all are now the crucial part of the geography. And here now we have the health geography, where the different fields are actually emerging. We have geography like the special field like the health informatics. Now every organization, specifically after the digital era, after in this 21st century, the government of India and the global institutions, they have come with the plan that every institution, every country, every local body, every small urban local bodies, or the small rural means rural community development bodies, they have to have an integrated program, or they have to have an integrated system where the infrastructure, where all the health related infrastructure has to be endorsed. So here actually from this particular point onwards, the rising demand of the health geographers are coming up. So different hospitals, municipalities, urban local bodies, even the World Health Organization, they are also recruiting a special designation, that is the health geographer, or the public health analyst, or the medical data analyst, or special health geographer. The new terms are also coming up with the ESRI. It is coming up with the World Development Bank as well. The IDB, the World Development Bank, they are also recruiting the post for the health analyst. So yes, there is a lot of field, and after we are a little bit far behind, like still we have geography in our uh, BSc. The CBCS structure has included the medical geography in its BSc structure, but most of the universities in India actually not offering medical geography as their special paper for the PhD or for the masters. So that is a we can say that is a small loopholes of the system. But at the same time, as we are focusing, as we are developing, we are moving ahead, so this sector has lots of opportunity ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Rai. I'd like to now take a few questions from the chat box, then I will again come back to the panelists.
Sure.
Akash, you have asked that during PhD course, anyone can take admission. Yes. If you can, during PhD, you can take admission in PG diploma, because PG diploma course is running on mostly on weekends. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 days a week of class. So I think with PhD it is possible for you.
And as it is a diploma, you cannot do 2 degree course simultaneously, but you can do a degree and a diploma course simultaneously.
Yes. Degree you cannot do, diploma you can do. Okay. Thank you. Now I would like to come. I would like to discuss something on physical geography. Like we have understood about health geography. So I would like to come to Dr. Pugin Godru, who is a specialized in oceanography, and he has done his PhD research on water resource management from Jadavpur University, and also he has been in University of Edinburgh, UK during his PhD. And he has keen interest in fluvial geomorphology, hydrology, water resource management, remote sensing applications on water resource management. I'd like to ask Dr. Godru, what are the scopes for a student of geography if he or she wants to pursue his career or her career in oceanography, in the field of oceanography?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Popat, for this question. As you know, oceanography is a branch of earth science. So oceanography is a branch of earth science that mainly deals with the physical, biological, chemical, or geological properties of ocean water. So physical oceanography mainly deals with this ocean wave, current, or tides. Biological oceanography deals with the flora and fauna of ocean. Chemical oceanography deals with the ocean water chemistry. And geological oceanography deals with ocean bottom topography and plate tectonics. So there is another emerging field in oceanography, that is satellite oceanography, where the students of geography can explore this field. In satellite oceanography, we generally use this remotely sensed data to study different parameters of ocean water, like ocean water temperature or ocean water color, or also coastal configuration or coral reefs. So there is a scope, good scope of geographers to explore this field. And there's also an allied sectors which is not hardcore, is not a part of hardcore oceanography, that is coastal zone management. Okay, so the students of geography studies coastal geomorphology or coastal hydrology, coastal pollution or coastal tourism management. And there are a number of fields related to these coastal studies. Like they can study mangrove ecosystem, integrated coastal zone management, sea level rise and its impact, or socioeconomic studies of coastal communities. So these are not directly related with hardcore oceanography, but very much associated with oceanography. And if you study these under oceanography, you can be appointed as a coastal zone manager. So that's all. And if you have any question related to this oceanography, you can ask.
Okay.
So you can do MSc or MTech in oceanography, but for geographers it is difficult to pursue MTech. But you can pursue MTech after completing this MSc geography course. You cannot directly pursue MTech in oceanography after your BSc program. First, you have to do MSc in geography. You can also do MSc in geoinformatics and then can do this MTech in oceanography. Or you can also do MPhil in oceanography after completion of your MSc geography program. Or you can also pursue this coastal zone management or oceanography related research work after completing your MSc program in geography and geoinformatics. Over to Dr. Mohammed.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for this guidance. I think that will be helpful. I would like to take another question from chat box that can you please tell me the eligibility criteria of geoinformatics for MTech geoinformatics? In Adamaus University, we only give MSc degree, MSc geoinformatics. MTech we do not have. So for MTech, you have to check with the institute that you are targeting. That eligibility criteria must be given in their website. Now I would like to take another question from human geography side. So I would like to come to Dr. Supratim Karmakar, and he has a very good, interesting, different research topic that he has done his research on crime geography. So I would like to ask you, Dr. Karmakar, who is a specialized in this urban planning, crime management, and he has completed his PhD from Vishwabharati University. So I'd like to ask you that what are the scope for the geography students for this crime analysis, crime prevention, law enforcement? Isn't it a very new arena that you are exploring?
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee, for giving me this opportunity to share my views with all the aspirants. Yes, in India, I would say it is not more than 20 or 25 years that people are working in this field, that geography of crime. But if we look at the global scenario, especially in USA and UK, it has a very long history that geographers are dealing with these issue of crime, and especially when we are dealing about the crime mapping especially. And I would like to say in India also we have specialized career scopes for it. Like we have opportunities. If we look at the reports published by National Crime Records Bureau or State Crime Records Bureau, wherever, just at a glance we can have, there are lots of maps are there in those reports, okay, which must be done, which is done by some GIS experts. So whenever our students, the students from geography, whenever they are doing MSc in geography or MSc in geoinformatics, they have that knowledge of mapping, and this knowledge can be very aptly used for the mapping of the incidences of crimes. And right now, at present, like we have specialized software packages also, which are coming in the market, that is like Composats or Maptitude or CADAC, CDAC. There are lots of software packages are coming. Even very highly used software, I think, which is like ArcGIS, which we used, and now they have introduced a different plugin for crime analysis. So it is being used. H3 is introducing new packages for different packages for crime analysis, and now we have the openings in our law enforcement bodies also, who are hiring people for that special analysis of crime. In our state, we can say that in our state there are recruitments are going on for the geospatial analyst in Lal Bazar, that is the headquarters of police, and Bhavani Bhavan. They can have that prestigious government jobs with very good salary package, and that is why they are asking for that specialized knowledge of geospatial studies or geoinformatics. So yes, it is very important, and it is very relevant to have that knowledge of geoinformatics in crime study. And the thing is, the crime geography is not offered as a specialization in any university, but the thing is, the geography of crime deals with so many allied things. Like in ADAMAS, we are giving the specialization of environmental geography, or we are giving the specialization of the urban and regional planning. And both these specializations have very good connection with geography of crime, because from both of these specializations, geographers can come in the field and field of geography of crime, and they can study all these things. So it is not mandatory to have the specialization on geography of crime, because it is not offered. But in ADAMAS, our aspirants can move towards the geography of crime, as they have specialization in environmental geography, because the geography of crime mainly comes from the concept of environmental criminology, and the environmental geography has a very deep impact on this part of geography. And nowadays, when we are dealing with the problem of crime, it is very much related with the planning also. So as I'm a student of having a specialization in Masters of Urban and Transport Planning, it helped me a lot in the mapping and the identification of the crime zones. So I can definitely say that the students of our university who will have these specializations of urban and regional planning or specialization of geoinformatics, they can really come up to this field of geography of crime, and they can have very good career opportunities. People, it is still flourishing, so the job opportunities are still in progress. So many geographers are not coming there, so there are ample of scope is there. As a career opportunity, ample of scope is there in the field of getting a job in National Crime Records Bureau or State Crime Records Bureau. Or there are some agencies, there are some non-government agencies who are coming with those the work regarding the crime mapping, and they are dealing with the services. They provide the service of law enforcement, or identifying these zones of crime and providing the services, surveillance providings. So government and non-government, all other sectors, like I just want to mention one thing, that in 2017 Infosys, companies like Infosys, they are already in the process of making specialized softwares for crime detection based, especially on the vehicle based crime or the snatching. So companies like Infosys, which is is there in West Bengal also, and it is very renowned, they are also planning to launch specialized softwares for crime mapping and crime detection and crime monitoring. So after having a degree in geography with the specialization of urban regional planning and having a degree in geoinformatics, our students can have very good opportunities in geography of crime and work with this specialization. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karmakar. And even I am amazed. So that must so also you that there are so many new avenues and new scopes are coming up with this incorporation of geoinformatics within the subject matter of geography. So if you
Yes.
love physical geography, definitely scopes with geomorphology, meteorology, oceanography, hydrology are there. If you are in love with human geography, then this kind of new things like health analysis, medical tourism, crime data analysis, crime prevention, law enforcement, this kind of opportunities are also there. So it's up to you that which area you want to select. But the point that definitely we all agree that you have to impart the modern techniques. You have to impart the knowledge of modern techniques. You have to impart the very good knowledge about the core subject. Like if you are studying human geography, you have to study the theories of human geography, the social geography, cultural geography, population, urban. This thing you have to study very well. Then you and also you have to impart the skills of geoinformatics. Then only the blending is possible. And definitely the subject you will choose the passion on like subject of your passion. If you choose, then as sir said in the beginning, that it will never be a pressure for you, and you will enjoy your job. You will enjoy your entire years of study, research, job, whatever you do, you will enjoy that. So, as Dr. Anurai has posted one link of WhatsApp group. So, if this conversation, I feel like you have so many queries. This conversation, we feel like it. We should not, because of the time constraint, we should not. This conversation should not be limited over Zoom. So, let us join there in the WhatsApp group. We will have more interaction with you. We would love to have more interaction with the young geographers, young aspirants of geography. With this, I would like to end this session here because already we have thought for 1 hour, but it has crossed 1.5 hours. So we have other meetings as well. So we have to end this session, but this interaction should continue. Please join us in the chat box. Check out our website. We will love to give answer to your queries. Thank you all for joining and for your patience. Thank you all.